1/4 of the population have used illegal drugs. There are 750,000 abortions every year. 9 out of 10 have viewed porn on the internet. 1 out of 10 females have been raped. 40% of us have inflicted self-injury. 65% say there is no true religion. With so many questions and so few answers for such a time as this.
Welcome again to such a time as this. You know, it's been a privilege us coming into your homes. And every month we talk about different things. And today again, I have the fabulous women here. And today we've got somebody new with us, Betty Traylor. She's going to be sitting in with us. Tony couldn't make it. We're into the holiday seasons right now. And it seemed like this year just went by. It seemed like just a month ago that I was packing up Christmas stuff, and now I'm beginning to have to unpack Christmas stuff. So I'm like, where did the year go? As we reflect back on this year, I'm wondering, what did I accomplish and what am I going to accomplish? And as I reflected back, I've had many different obstacles come into my way this year. And one of the things that I've dealt with myself is depression. Now, I've not really stayed in depression, but I've dealt with it in different areas. And depression is an emotion. So today we're going to be talking about depression, especially sometimes around the holiday season, but depression can carry on through years too. So we are not doctors by any means. We're just going to come from us women again to deal with depression, and maybe we can throw some stuff out at you, and maybe you can relate to it and maybe you can't. But we're going to all talk about depression in one sense or other, and so we're just, as we do again on such a time as this, we're just going to let it all hang out, as they say. And I don't know whether that's a good analogy or whatever, but we're going to be talking about it. And before we came on, I was asking the girls, what are some of the things that cause depression? And so if y'all want to pick it up from there, Vicki, Betty, Harriet, y'all,
yes.
You go with it.
Well, you know, losing a loved one, you know, sickness, and, you know, and a lot of times when we lose a loved one, if you want me to go ahead and jump in there.
I do, because that was one of the top things on our list, was losing a loved one. And Harriet, I think from experience, just tell us about that, because I know what you walked through.
Yeah, and what I wanted to say is, Marsha, losing a loved one around the holidays, Vicki and Betty, you know, so many a times you can easily get caught up and misled in the wrong directions, especially with the company that you're keeping.
Okay, let me, I'm just going to interject right here, and interrupt you, I should say.
Oh, okay.
You, Harriet, you lost your daughter in childbirth how many years ago?
Oh, it's been 8 years.
Okay, so you're coming from somebody that has experience. We've all lost a loved one, but you've lost a daughter, and so you were talking from a voice of experience.
Yeah, yeah. I when I lost my daughter, and the holidays came up, I was very, very depressed, because I missed her. I missed her from being there, helping me prepare the dinner for Thanksgiving, and then the Christmas and all of that. And I'm not going to tell anyone who are listening to us that you are not going to cry, or you're not going to be sad, or you're not going to be depressed, because it's really with every individual person how they deal with it. Yeah, and so even though, and people say, but I thought you were a Christian. Yeah, I am a Christian, and I am saved. But I still was very much depressed in losing my daughter, because of the amount of years that we had spent together in family and doing family things together, you know, throughout.
Yeah, and not only that, God has given us emotions, and depression is an emotion. That, I mean, and the Bible says that we are to mourn and you're to grieve. So these are natural responses. If we didn't have them, we would be like robots, right? So these are I think these are natural responses.
They are. And then you gotta, and then when you're depressed, you gotta also worry about, because like you're saying, my daughter, I had to worry about my kids and extending over into them, and them seeing me being depressed. And sometimes we can be depressed. Marsha, I wanted to say this. Sometimes we can be depressed and not even be aware that we're depressed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can relate to you from what you said, because I lost a baby at Christmas, 21 days before Christmas. And she lived 4 days. And that was very devastating to me, especially being a first child. And for 10 years, I was very angry with God, and I didn't go to church. I was raised in church, but I wouldn't go to church. I wouldn't have anything to do with the church because I just blamed God so bad. And one Sunday, after, like I said, about 10 years, I was sitting in front of the TV, and a pastor came on, and that's where I really believe in television ministry. Because I wasn't really paying attention to the TV at that particular time, but he began to speak and minister about grief and death. And like you said again, I didn't even realize that I was still depressed after 10 years. Even though she was always on my mind, and whenever I saw babies or whatever, I mean, that always went through my head, the experience that I went through at that particular time. But that minister ministered to me to be able to get over that, and I realized I had to let go of that depression. And once I let go of it, then I was free, and I felt completely different. Then I was able to go to church and actually sit into a service and begin to listen about God again, which you know, was a real blessing.
That was good.
That's one form of depression, is losing a loved one. Another form that I went through was disappointment, disillusionment.
That's almost a daily thing. I mean, you know,
mine lasted. Not my depression, but my